What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bass Fishing Declassified. We took a little bit of a break, but we're going to be getting back to it. I'll be in the videos. I'm Johnny from Fish the Moment. We also have Jimmy Easterling, the fishing coach, Matt Steffen from Matt Steffen YouTube channel, and we have a lot of other special guests we're going to be adding in throughout the year, so you definitely want to stay tuned for all of our upcoming videos. Today, we're going to be talking about our top 5 baits for April bass fishing. And Jimmy and I are basically just going to share a few baits each, give you an idea of what we like to fish. And Jimmy, if you want to get started, let me know how you like to catch them in April.
Man, April is, to me, guys, is a tough month in a way. Everybody loves to fish this time of year, Johnny. But as you know, man, I like to go out there, fish offshore, like yourself. But one of my go-tos is a fluke, guys. I love a soft plastic fluke. This right here is the X-Zone Whiplash. Now, one thing I like about this fluke guy, you know, I always threw that Strike King shad, the Strike King caffeine shad, but something about this one and that caffeine shad both, it's a heavier fluke and I can make 4 casts with it. I'm gonna rig it Texas rig. I'm gonna fish it, guys, off the points. I'm gonna let this thing sink and jerk it like a jerk bait. But now with forward-facing sonar, we see what happens when you're jerking it. Fish are coming off the bottom. Fish, we always thought we're targeting suspended fish. So I was mainly gonna be fishing main lake points, secondary points, but also, guys, you see behind me, I love throwing this in bushes as well. So the fluke is my first option.
The fluke is an awesome choice, guys. I mean, it imitates a shad, a bluegill. It will really work around any sort of shallow cover. And like Jimmy's saying, you can fish in open water. So yeah, that's a great option. It's actually one of my favorite baits too. Jimmy kind of stole that one from me, but that's a really good one right there.
Of course. What's your bait, man? What's your first choice?
Okay, so my #1 choice is a little bit different from what most people would say. It's an 11/16 Jewel tactical flipping jig. I'm pairing it up with this 3-inch Yamamoto flapping hog. And basically this heavy jig is something that I think a lot of fish aren't seeing in the springtime. Most guys are gonna be flipping a Texas rig, throwing a wacky rig, which are great options. And I'll be maybe talking about those here in a bit too. Yeah. But I like to start with this heavier jig for 2 reasons. One, it falls a little bit faster, so you can get into this cover, penetrate the cover, and also cover water faster, and really make sure you get around those fish in those areas that are holding concentrations of fish. And also I feel like it gets more of maybe a reaction bite, because again, fish aren't used to seeing such a fast falling bait. Now, I won't say this is the best bait every single day for catching fish, but it allows me to get into an area and cover. Like again, there's this bank behind us, there's flooded bushes or stuff everywhere. And if you're trying to work through areas like that, a lot of times you may go a mile before you get into an area that has a group of fish, and that area might only be 30, 40 yards long. So by throwing a heavier jig that gets down quickly, you can make a lot of pitches, cover a lot of water fast, and again, even if you're not getting as many bites, you are a lot more efficient with a bait like this.
That's awesome, man. Now, my second bait, okay, since that first one, and I like to flip the Texas rig in April. You know, me flipping the bushes, but even back at Millwood. Now, my second bait, guys, is a bait where I'm fishing out now in a Highland Reservoir type body of water, even up where you're at, Lake Beaver, Table Rock, Lake Washita, DeGray, Hamilton, guys. You got to go with a bigger, soft plastic swim bait. This right here, I got 2 of them right here. They're both paired up with 7/0 1/4-ounce core tackle tush swim bait hook, which I caught some fish with it the other day, man. I got a video. It's already out by the time y'all watch this, guys. But this is with the Bass Mafia, Chris Zaldane, new swim bait. Man, I've loved, and ever since I've gotten this swim bait, I've loved throwing this thing. And it has a good, I think anybody can throw it. It's just, you know, you reel it back to the boat. Now, that's one thing about these bigger soft plastic swim bait, guys, is, you know, bass right now, they're either spawning or done spawning for the most part in our neck of the woods. And something about a bigger swim bait going by can entice them bass to eat. And like, once again, anybody can throw this, and it also will get some bigger bites, which I like to go for, but you can catch a lot of fish with it as well. Once again, I'm covering a lot of water with the swim bait, covering water, but when I start getting more bites with it, I might slow down and pick it apart with that jig or with maybe a wacky rig.
For sure. And before we get to my next bait there, a little foreshadowing. That little bait, guys, first time I took it out with that 7/0 1/4-ounce tush, that Bass Mafia swim bait, buddy of mine, we went to a little lake by my house. We caught 20 pounds the first day throwing it. It's a good deal. It's a fish catcher. So yeah, that's a good deal in the spring. I actually haven't thrown it that much this month. I need to remember to throw that, put it on the deck of the boat.
Hey, here's y'all guys another like sneaky deal that I've done a little bit with. I might not have had as much success lately because I've been doing so much on the water lessons and I've not had the time just to go out. But guys, on those main lake humps on your highland reservoirs, fish will go up there on those things and spawn. Your shallower humps, okay? And I know a lot of guys like throw Carolina rig lizards, like to throw the swing head jigs, but guys, you can throw these up there and catch some big fish too.
That's some juice right there.
That's a little juice right there.
How deep are those humps? Like 3 to 5 foot maybe?
They could be anywhere from like 5 to 10 foot, okay. But those grass are growing on them humps, and if there's a hole in the grass, that's where that bed could be.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, that's 2 kind of bigger baits right there, the big jig, swim bait. Another bait that I really like to throw that Jimmy talked about a second ago is the wacky worm. So the wacky worm is a staple in spring fishing, and usually I'm going to pick up the wacky rig worm whenever I locate the fish using a bait like my big jig or like Jimmy's throwing that swim bait. Those are great baits for helping catch bigger fish, but also locating groups of fish. And then once you get in an area that has that concentration, you can slow down with that wacky rig worm. My new favorite rig for this is the new Core Tackle Wacky Shot hook that you may have seen before. It is a wacky rig hook that has a little bit of lead on the shank and then a spring that you can attach the worm to. We designed this hitchhiker, this little spring, to be actually extra big or oversized so it holds that worm on. I have a video that's doing pretty well on social media where I show myself connecting this to a power drill and I can spin that thing around and it won't throw the worm off. So it's a really good keeper system, and it gives that worm just a slightly different action from your standard unweighted wacky hook, and helps you kind of hold on that worm a little bit longer. So really like that deal. The thing about the wacky rig though, guys, is it's a slower presentation, so you're going to be fishing it in the same areas you're going to be fishing the baits we just talked about. You're just going to want to be very thorough, very slow, and sometimes when those bass are kind of right getting into that spawning phase or just leaving the beds, they can be very finicky, and that's why that wacky rig is so good. It really attracts those fish that don't really want to eat. It just kind of almost lays there in front of their face and they just can't help resist themselves and they grab it. So wacky rig is also a great option as well. My last bait, since we're doing 5 and it's kind of uneven. You
got 3, I got 2. But we're kind of together on this one.
Oh, I need to grab this rod here, Jimmy. I was even completely unprepared. We were using this today and I was catching them on the lake, and that's why I got my rod over here. So this is a Jimmy Easterling special. I don't take credit for this one because I learned this from Jimmy. So this is basically a cross style bait. There's a couple of different ones.
I got
he already snagged them from me.
I already got the ones.
The Zoom Z Craw, or this is the X Zone Adrenaline Craw. They both basically set up the same way. It's basically just a cross style bait with some flappers in the bottom. A lot of companies make a bait similar. And this bait is very unique when fished either weightless or on the Core Tackle Ozark rigs. You can throw on like a weightless EWG hook or the Ozark rig here that has this is a 3/16 ounce 4/0 version. And the thing about this rig is that you can pitch it around shallow cover, which is really effective, just like you would a standard Texas rig. But the reason I like it is because you can also just reel it back to the boat. And this is something that Jimmy's been doing for years. And he actually turned me on to this. And in the springtime, you can basically throw this bait around almost like a topwater frog, like a horny toad, but also let it fall into the bushes. And it's just a very efficient bait that allows you to cover water quickly, but have a nice subtle presentation. And Jimmy will tell you more because he is an expert at this deal.
Yeah, well, I've not been able to do it as much lately, guys, because of, once again, my electronic on the water lessons, but this is a technique I've learned the last few years. I've actually not put a video out on it due to keeping some stuff quiet, but we're gonna go more into it. The thing that Johnny, though, with the hover rig, they wanted to make a weedless rig, and when he showed me this Ozark rig, let me hold it, I right then knew that this right here was gonna be a player, because when you're throwing this guy on just a weightless hook and you're swimming it, you can't let it sink, but it would sink slow. And I knew with this, you can then let it kind of get to more in depths, and you can still reel on top of the water. But what we learned with this Ozark rig, with this weight, it still kind of shimmies through the water. Now, guys, he mentioned the Z Craw. I've been throwing this X Zone craw lately. I've done 2 fishing trips where I've thrown this X Zone craw style lure. But one thing I do now, guys, I have a bathtub at my house. I know a lot of y'all have bathtubs. I'll fill them up with water and test out lures in them. So this is salted, it sinks. This guy here doesn't sink, okay? So I like this right here right now with it does not, since it's not as heavily salted, it has a scent, but it's not heavily salted, so it doesn't sink when it's in the tub. So that's just a little less buoyant with the Ozark rig. But you can throw this in shallow cover. I'm talking like these bushes is great, but guys, lily pad stems, grass, throw this guy and swim it. And you're thinking, well, why not throw a swim jig or this or that? Guys, there's something different about these crawl style actions that fish cannot resist. And I've done a lot of it on, there's a lake down in southwest Arkansas, but guys, you can do it at Hamilton, Ouachita to Gray, Table Rock, or if you have a river style body of water, or Lake Millwood where it became famous.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Jimmy kicked my butt one day doing it. And that's actually when I was designing the Ozark rig for core tackle. This was one of the presentations I had in mind, is swimming that like cross style bait on it. So again, Texas rig kind of replacement, and also a swimming worm, horny toad. It's kind of just a little bit of everything. It's a really unique way of fishing, and I'm throwing it now all the time. So definitely try that out. You'd also catch them on a Texas rig. You guys know there's a ton of baits you can catch them on in the spring. These are just the ones that we have confidence in, and I think that overall, they're going to cover a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different lake types, and they put a lot of fish in the boat for us over the years. So hopefully you enjoyed these tips. Got anything else for us, Jimmy?
Man, I just was thinking about all the stuff we just shared, all of our lures. Anybody can use these, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're fishing from a pond, fishing from a boat with 5 graphs or with no graphs, any one of you guys, that's one good thing about this time of year. There's so many ways to catch fish, but any of you guys can use these to catch it. So let us know any feedback on any of the tips or tactics or y'all's favorite lures for April.
For sure. Appreciate you guys tuning back into Bass Fishing Declassified. We'll be doing a lot more content on the channel here coming very, very soon. So excited for that. And also, if you want to check out any of the baits we talked about, there'll be links down in the description so you can check those out. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. We'll see you on the next one.